Bibliophiles, and welcome back to Blatantlybookish. Today I would like to discuss my birthday bookish adventures with you guys. So this past weekend was my birthday, and I had a really great time, and of course I did a lot of fun bookish things. I went into the city with my boyfriend, we went to the Strand, and then the next day I actually went to my local library and picked up some really great finds that I want to share with you guys. So without further ado, I want to talk to you first about the non-bookish things. Also, sorry about the heater. It's going to be in the background and it's going to drive me nuts when I'm editing, but hopefully it doesn't drive you nuts when you're listening. It just makes really loud hissing noises. So, the first thing I got for my birthday from my boyfriend was this beautiful, beautiful cup. It is this mug it has this little plate here and a little tea infuser, and I just cannot wait to drink tea out of it. It kind of looks a little dirty right out of the box, so I'm going to have to wash it before I can use it, but it is absolutely gorgeous and I'm so excited. And then another tea-related item that I received was a special tea from Harney & Sons. They make one of my favorite teas of all time, and that is called Paris. It is absolutely delicious. And now on to the books. So while I was at the Strand, I picked up 3 books from their outdoor $1 section, which is amazing. And the first book was Barrel Fever by David Sedaris. Now, this book is a collection of stories and essays, pretty much in David Sedaris' usual funny style. I haven't read it yet, though, and I feel like when people talk about David Sedaris, they talk about this book as his most notable or his most famous, and I haven't actually read it yet, so I'm really excited that I own it and can read it anytime now. And then the next book I got was a book that I already own, and I'm terrible. I usually don't do that, but this time I made an exception. I picked up a book that I knew I already owned, and that was because this copy has annotations in it. So I picked up Madame Bovary, which I haven't read yet, but it has annotations. Someone underlined this and really, really marked this up. It's quite beautiful, these annotations. You can tell there's just like a lot of thought and a lot of writing that's been put into this, and I really can't wait to interact with this other reader about this text. I think that's really special. I think that this reader probably was annotating it for a class at school, but I don't really care. I would love to hear his or her thoughts on the book as I'm reading it. I think that would be a really enjoyable experience, and I'm looking forward to engaging with them in the future. And the next book I picked up from the Strand is ExLibris by Anne Fadiman, Confessions of a Common Reader. So this book is just a love letter to literature. It's about reading and the love of reading. I'll read you the back. Anne Fadiman is, by her own admission, the sort of person who learned about sex from her father's copy of Fanny Hill, whose husband buys her 19 pounds of dusty books for her birthday, and who once found herself poring over a 1974 Toyota Corolla manual because it was the only written material in her apartment that she had not read at least twice. ExLibris recounts a lifelong love affair with books and language. For Fadiman, as for many passionate readers, the book she loves have become chapters in her own life story. Writing with remarkable grace, she revives the tradition of the well-crafted personal essay, moving easily from anecdotes about Coleridge and Orwell to tales of her own pathologically literary family. As someone who played at blocks with her father's 22-volume set of Trollope, and who considered herself truly married only when she and her husband merged libraries, she is exquisitely well-equipped to expand upon the art of fly-leaf inscriptions, the perverse pleasures of compulsive proofreading, the allure of long words, and the satisfactions of reading aloud. Perfectly balanced between humor and erudition, ExLibris establishes Fadiman as one of our finest contemporary essayists. So I just think that this book is going to be so heartwarming, a book about loving reading, and yeah, I was really excited to find this one. I even read a few pages, like sort of the introduction, in a cafe after we picked it up, and I was like, yes, this book is for me. So I'm excited about it. So the last thing we picked up in the Strand was not something that I bought for myself. It was something that my boyfriend actually bought for himself, and that is this big book here, Spectrum 18, this is a compilation of fantasy artists and their works. It features a lot of artists who actually illustrate the game that he likes to play, Magic the Gathering, which is a card game. And so there are beautiful illustrations on those cards. And he was particularly interested in one of the artists. I believe her name was Teresa Nielsen. And he showed me this exquisite YouTube video about her work. It's very interesting, the parallels between her work and some of the artists from history that I've studied over the years. So I highly recommend checking that video out if you're interested in art or Magic the Gathering or art history. It's a really interesting video. But anyway, this book is absolutely gorgeous, and I haven't finished looking through it. It's also really heavy. It's got some really great images, as you can see. I quite like this one, actually. Anyway, I'm gonna stop holding this up before I ruin this book. He's looking at me like, what are you doing with my book over there? So yes, but it has a lot of really interesting artwork in this book, and it's even more interesting how you can see these artists' influences from really famous artworks, like even like Duchamp, my favorite artist, Mucha. I like calling it Mucha, but I know that's not how you say his name. Oh well. So then I went to the library and found some really great things. The first book I found is The Little Book of Feminist Saints by Julia Pierpont, illustrated by Manjit Thapp. And this book is actually not religious at all. I know it says Feminist Saints, but what they do is they just name different prominent female figures the saint of something. So like, let me see here. Virginia Woolf is the matron saint of writers. And they have like a little biography over here of them and why they are featured in this book, as well as a gorgeous illustration of them. I'm really into this style of illustration here. So they have so many great women featured in here. I mean, they have Oprah, matron saint of every home. They've got Gloria Steinem, matron saint of sisterhood. Sandra Day O'Connor, matron saint of justice. Frida Kahlo, matron saint of color. Julia Child, matron saint of the kitchen. They even have Elizabeth I, matron saint of queens. We've got Hillary Clinton in here. Emily Dickinson, matron saint of verse. I'm just showing you the literary ones, but there are so many wonderful politicians and activists and all sorts of different women in here. And I love what they call them, the matron saints of. It's a really interesting book, and I can't wait to read more about these women, some of whom I know their story, and some of whom I really don't know their stories at all. So I'm just so excited about this one. The next book I picked up after finding an amazing quote online. The quote was, "Art is not a horse race. Literature is not the Olympics. The hell with the great American novel. We have all the great novels we need right now. And right now, some man or woman is writing a new one we won't know we needed till we read it." And that was written by Ursula Le Guin in her book, No Time to Spare. So I got Ursula Le Guin's No Time to Spare, Thinking About What Matters, out from the library. This is, I believe, a memoir of sorts about her turning 81 and being so busy. She says, "My time is fully and vitally occupied with sleep, with daydreaming, with doing business and writing, family and friends on email, with reading, with writing poetry and writing prose, with thinking, with forgetting, with embroidering." It goes on and on and on. But basically, we're all very, very busy. And she says, none of this is spare time. I can't spare it. I am going to be 81 next week. I have no time to spare. And with my recent birthday, I know I'm not 81, but I also just feel like I have no time to spare lately. Last weekend, I barely read because I was running around seeing friends. This weekend, I barely read because kind of the same thing. I was seeing friends and family for my birthday, which was lovely, don't get me wrong, but I think this book will be a really important read for me. And the last book that I got from the library, I'm so excited about. I've been waiting for it to appear in my library for a while now. And I first heard about it, I believe, from Acacia Ives' channel. And that is Girls Burn Brighter by Shobha Rao. I'll read you the inside cover so you can see why I'm so excited about this book. Purnima and Savitha have 3 strikes against them. They are poor, they are ambitious, and they were girls. After her mother's death, Purnima has very little kindness in her life. She is left to care for her siblings until her father can find her a suitable match. So when Savitha enters their household, Purnima is intrigued by the joyful, independent-minded girl. Suddenly, their Indian village doesn't feel quite so claustrophobic, and Purnima begins to imagine a life beyond arranged marriage. But when a devastating act of cruelty drives Savitha away, Purnima leaves behind everything she has ever known to find her friend. Her journey takes her into the darkest corners of India's underworld on a harrowing cross-continental journey, and eventually to an apartment complex in Seattle. Alternating between the girls' perspectives as they face ruthless obstacles, Girls Burn Brighter introduces 2 heroines who never lose the hope that burns within. So I am super excited for this book, and what makes me even more excited is that it is written by Shobha Rao, who is the author who wrote An Unrestored Woman, which made my Best of 2017 list. It's a collection of short stories about women and the migration of people between India and Pakistan as they became separate countries. It was just such a moving and beautiful book, and I can't wait to see what she does in the novel form. If you want to watch more about that, check out my 2017 video. But yes, so excited for this book. And I'm wondering, from that little blurb I read, it seems like it might have some LGBTQ undertones, or maybe overt LGBTQ themes. I'm not really sure, but I will let you know as I read it. So that is it. That is all I wanted to talk to you guys about today. All of the books that I've been accumulating this past weekend and that I'm really, really excited for. But I'm still reading some other books right now, most notably Marriage as a buddy read with Claudia from Spinster's Library and Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventures. So we will continue with that and hopefully get to these as well. And I'd love to hear what you think of any of these books that I've mentioned. Are there any new books that you guys have been picking up recently that you're really excited about and want to share with me? I'd love to hear about them in the comments down below. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you guys in another video soon. Bye!